My name is Laska Nenova, and I'm your host for today. I'm head of membership and campaigns for International Sports and Culture Association. And when we say campaigns in ISCA, this means the NowWeMOVE campaign. The agenda for today, we are already in the welcome, a bit of presentation of my site. Then we have the active design principles and concepts from Sara, from the Center of Active Design. Then we have active stairs with Lorenzo from Attivo Designs, Canada. Then we have the placemaking linked to physical activity with Anna Bradley representing both STIPO and placemaking Europe. We will have 2 minutes of break because we are in a webinar discussing physical activity and placemaking, both very active activities. Then we'll have the brainstorming and closing and next steps. But before I start, I would very much like to present to you ISCA, International Sports and Culture Association. ISCA is based in Copenhagen, Denmark. Last year we became 25. This year we are 26. We are a member organization. We have more than 260 members across the world in 89 countries. We are very proud that we are a team of 20 staff members from 15 countries. We are truly international organization, both in our work and in our team. And we are a very hardworking team because we work 9,052 days for achieving our goal of moving people. Our vision is a world of physically active citizens in vibrant civil societies, and we do that by empowering organizations worldwide to enable citizens to enjoy their human right to move. What does this mean? ISCA is focused to provide its members and the wider public and network of partners with concepts, with learnings, with best practice examples, so the organizations on their local level, they grow and they achieve, and then together with us, we work together into the goal of moving people. The next screen is just it's a fantastic picture of the milestones just for last year, where you can see all the different events and activities that we do. With ISCA, we work strongly with European projects through which we design new concepts and provide the capacity building for the members and the citizens. We also do large-scale events like our MOVE Congress, where we gather partners, stakeholders from different sectors. We have the NowWeMOVE campaign, the campaign that I lead with its flagship events, the Move Week, which is a weekly annual event where we ask people to get out, find their move, the No Elevators Day, for which I will share a little bit more later, our Open Streets Day. This year, we've started a new event, European Mile, through which we ask people just to rediscover their miles, rediscover movement, go out, start walking, running again, meet with people, just trying to tackle with negative influences of COVID. Of course, you can learn more about ISCA on our page, isca.middle-web.org or our Facebook channels, and later on we will share more about that. About the campaign, back in 2012, we created the NowWeMOVE campaign, and the goal was to bring the sport for all sector and a variety of other sectors together to tackle the physical inactivity. This year, this is our 9th year of the campaign, and throughout these 9 years, we've managed, with the help of members, of partners, with people like yourself, to move millions of people, to reach hundreds of cities and a number of countries. We've organized more than 9,000 events, different events in different settings. Quite often we work in the outdoors, but we've also worked to engage people where they're in at the moment. Just a short video I want to share with you about the No Elevators Day. The No Elevators Day is a flagship event of the NowWeMOVE campaign. We started this event back in 2015, but I will let the video tell you a bit more about it.
There is no sound.
No sound?
No, no sound.
Okay, thank you. I was hearing the sound. I didn't realize that we don't have the sound, but it's just music and you've managed to read all of the slides. Sorry for the no sound. So you've seen that we had the No Elevators Day for a number of years, and we started the No Elevators Day with a very simple notion. We wanted to point people's attention to the stairs as a very easy and accessible activity that they can do during their work days. When we started the No Elevators Day, we were focusing mostly at people and in offices, people working in high-rise buildings, and also people using the everyday infrastructure like escalators. Last year with COVID, we were in a situation where we were in our homes and we were not going to our offices and we were not using the elevators. So as you saw in the timeline, we changed our call to action from take the stairs to use the stairs. And we ask people to rethink how they use the environment in their residential buildings, in their homes, and also around them. And we ask people to rethink the use of stairs. And with that, we also realized that a lot of staircases are not really well taken care of. Some of them are maybe feeling not safe. Some of them are not fun to take. There's no reason to take the stairs apart of going from A to B. And we wanted to change that. And with this year's No Elevator Day campaign, we also thought who could be our partners to change how stairs are accepted. And we said, why not work with architects, designers, and with placemakers? And this was the idea behind this webinar. And today with me, I have 3 great speakers coming from 3 different countries. And they will share their expertise and their practical experiences with stairs placemaking design. And with that, we want to start a global call to placemakers, designers, architects for stairs placemaking. So we also turn our attention to stairs. Without more delaying, I'm very happy to present our speakers. Today with us are Sara Karerat. She is the Director of Applied Research for the Center of Active Design based in New York, USA. We have Lorenzo Mele. principal of Attivo Design. He is also sustainability and active design specialist. He is based in Ottawa, Canada. And Anna, who is Bradley from STIPO and Placemaking Europe. She's a placemaking urban psychologist and urban geographer. She's currently in the USA, but permanently placed in the Netherlands. And I'm very happy to ask Sara and transfer the visual stage to her. Sara, to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Laska. Let me continue. Just gonna. Great. So you all should see my slides now. And thank you so much to ISCA for inviting us and for organizing this event. We're excited for the opportunity to share with all of you today. So as Laska mentioned, my name is Sara Karerat, and I'm the Director of Applied Research with the Center for Active Design, also known as CFAD. So today I'm going to give a brief background of the active design movement and talk a bit about how the built environment, or those spaces where we live, work, socialize, and study, have been leveraged to promote health for centuries. I'll then discuss the Center for Active Design's work to expand the movement and bring these health promoting strategies to the market by engaging a range of actors, including policymakers, investors, developers, architects, as Laska mentioned, facility managers, among others. I'll then wrap up with a few specific details about how the tenets of active design specifically apply to stairs and how stairs can serve as a key tool for promoting physical activity. Now, just for a bit of background on the Center for Active Design, CFAD is an independent nonprofit organization working globally to advance its mission, which is to transform design and development practice to support health and optimal quality of life. CFAD was originally launched in 2012 by then New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and the organization was really launched to continue the work that he led of an interagency collaboration to promote evidence-based design strategies that support all aspects of health, including mental, social, and physical well-being. The Center for Active Design is also the sole operator of Fitwell, which is a healthy building and site certification system, and is also responsible for the third-party certification of projects that are submitted as a part of that program. In addition to Fitwell, CFAD leads a variety of other programs that impact neighborhoods, housing, research, and advocacy related to the built environment. So the connection between health and the built environment has really been studied for centuries and has been long leveraged as a vital tool to address health and well-being. Back in the late 19th century, when a majority of the deaths were being attributed to infectious diseases such as tuberculosis, cholera, and yellow fever, built environment interventions were some of the most impactful approaches to reducing disease. In overcrowded cities, infrastructure really needed to be improved to ensure that residents had access to fresh air and open space. So really the basics. In New York City specifically, which was a city that was really known for its high levels of disease at the time, policies were enacted to require that housing implement proper ventilation, plumbing, and fire safeguards. So many of these same lessons have returned to the forefront of society in the midst of COVID-19. Namely, increasing ventilation rates and integrating more outdoor air into buildings has been shown to reduce risk for SARS-CoV-2, the virus responsible for COVID-19, which we're all familiar with at this point. Despite the events of the past year and the immense impact of COVID-19, which is an infectious disease, and that the impact that this pandemic has had on our society, chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, and stroke really remain a leading cause of death. While infectious disease was the leading cause of death a century ago, chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes are now the leading causes of death and disability. This market shift is what led to the active design movement, which was really born out of a desire to again leverage the built environment to promote human health and well-being. As you all know, physical activity has a notable impact on holistic health, which we define as physical, mental, and social health. So physical activity is not only going to benefit the physical health of folks, but also can lead to social interaction, can promote mental health and well-being as well. So by implementing certain design interventions, we really have the power to make healthier choices easier and incorporate physical activity more readily into daily life. So decades of research informing the role the built environment, Decades of research informing the role the built environment could play in increasing physical activity rates led to the development of the active design guidelines. And these guidelines were developed back in 2010 by the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. This interagency collaboration was the precursor to the launch of the Center for Active Design. So while our work has expanded greatly over the past nearly 10 years, the active design guidelines really remain at the core of our work. These guidelines really create a bridge between research and practice, outlining evidence-based guidelines that tell designers what they can do to create opportunities for daily physical activity. And this evidence base is really pulled from the public health sector and the research being done by academics and researchers across that space. So as the research has evolved, our work has evolved as well. Basically, we're widening our lens to capture a more holistic version of health. For example, the guidelines featured in our publication Assembly, which you see in the center there, are focused on fostering civic life and supporting our need for connection and social well-being in our communities. And throughout all of our work, we're continuing to expand our thinking to center equity and ensure we're promoting environments that truly build health for all. But these evidence-based strategies are of no benefit if they aren't actually being implemented, which brings me to Fitwell. Fitwell is a healthy building and site certification system that was developed by the United States Centers for Disease Control and the General Services Administration, which is the agency that's responsible for the management of all US government buildings. Fitwell reflects findings from more than 5,600 peer-reviewed studies and is committed to translating public health evidence into actionable solutions for the real estate community. The categories that you see on this slide represent the various health impacts of the strategies found throughout the Fitwell certification system. While some strategies, such as providing a quiet room, may promote feelings of well-being, other strategies, such as implementing tactics to promote stair safety, support occupant safety, increase physical activity, reduce morbidity and mortality, and promote equity. Fitwell features scorecards for a variety of different typologies, including workplace, multifamily residential, senior housing, retail, communities, and commercial sites. The research behind each of these scorecards is really specific to the unique typology context. And since its launch in 2016, we're excited to share that more than 600 projects have been certified or are pending certification, and nearly 2,000 projects have been registered to ultimately pursue the strategies found in Fitwell. One of the key elements of the building scorecards is stairs, unsurprisingly, which currently represents a full section of these products. The strategies featured are focused on stair access, stair location, improving the stair environment, point of decision signage, stair visibility, and stair safety. So based on the evidence, we know that stairs offer an effective tool for integrating, sorry about that. They offer an effective tool for integrating physical activity into daily life. Studies have shown that increased stair climbing not only increases physical activity, which is a fantastic outcome on its own, but also can lower overall mortality. The benefits are just so significant. Physical inactivity is a leading cause of preventable death in the world, and inactivity is responsible for 9% of premature mortality, or greater than 5.3 of the 57 million deaths that occurred worldwide in 2008. Now, I want to briefly dig into a few tactics that can help promote stair usage within a variety of building types. Lorenzo is going to dig into this a bit deeper, so I'll keep this section quick. So point of decision signage or motivational signs placed at elevator call areas or other spots where folks are deciding whether or not to use the stairs are one of the most well-proven strategies. As you see on the slide, point of decision prompts encouraging stair use have been associated with up to 34% more stair use. And in another study, when stair prompts were placed in strategic locations, the likelihood of occupants using the stairs was 3 times greater than when stair prompts weren't featured. The research indicates that the most effective stair prompts are those that include both encouraging messaging and also connect the action of stair climbing with the beneficial health outcomes. So for example, the sign pictured here links stair climbing with burning calories, but it doesn't even need to be that specific. It could be climb the stairs, improve your health. It can really vary, and we've seen some really pretty creative examples over the years. So increasing stair visibility is another tactic associated with increased stair climbing. Stair visibility can be addressed through a variety of different tactics, ranging from locating the stair in a prominent area so that occupants entering from the lobby will encounter the stair before reaching an elevator. That can be a pretty substantial intervention. So in addition, by making sure occupants can see the stairs by refraining from enclosing behind a door when possible, or if that's not possible, placing the stairs behind a door that is not opaque, so has interior glazing, can help to improve that visibility. And also, one thing that's become popular in New York City is using magnetic hold open devices that are an easy way to keep the door open, ensure that folks can see the stairs, even in existing buildings where the stair may already be enclosed behind a door. Finally, there are many fun ways to improve the stair environments that can encourage users to take the stairs. This can include everything from playing music throughout the stairs, integrating colorful murals into the stairwell. We've seen some great examples where local artists are engaged to help liven up the stairwells, or even simply allowing access to daylight. At the Department of Health in New York, they encourage tenants to use the stairs by allowing employees to choose the playlist for the stairwell for a day, which I've always thought is just a really clever way to not only boost the stair use, people get excited about their playlist playing in the stairwell, but also to facilitate employee engagement. So I'm going to stop here because I want to make sure that I don't kind of spoil any of the content to come. And I want to thank you all again for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all today. And please don't hesitate to reach out, connect with us. All of our details are here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Sara. Great, quick presentation. And guys, I need to confess that I also became a FitWell ambassador after a meeting with the team of Active Design back in New York. So go to the website, check the documents. The resources are really good and I think free, most of them. So great resources. And now, Lorenzo, up to you, because you have the Active Stairs campaign in Canada, Active Stairs Canada, and you've also initiated a student design competition for stairs. So
yeah,
Lorenzo?
trying to take the work that's been done at the center, taking it to another level, being informed by the research. So yeah, nice to be able to share that with you. I've got that. That looks like it's working, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Laska and the team at SSCA, thank you very much for, sort of allowing me to be part of this day today. It's important, for me to be able to share this work because I'm representing, a number of people that have been involved in this over time. Attivo Designs, we're committed to advancing sort of this connection between health and the built environment, working with partners, clients, and the community to creatively reimagine our built world to influence healthy behaviors. And I came onto this about a year ago. I'd been with public health department in the Toronto area of Canada, Ontario province, for about 5 years, and saw the amazing work that was going on there. And I was part of that as an advisor on healthy design. And I left that role last year. And what I saw was that there was a tremendous amount of research that the teams had done on a few different files, one of them being active transportation. I'm involved in doing user experience assessments around active transportation, cycling and walking. But one of the other pieces of research that came out of the team at Peel Region that I thought had a lot of merit in trying to advance was the work on active stairs. Much of it was informed, of course, by the Center for Active Design in New York City. And I think that that's important. They were mentors for probably over 10 years. And our team had taken some of that work and tried to take it to another level, let's say. So I found myself last year taking this research and thinking, okay, what's a different discipline that would take this research and create something different on it. And so I made a relationship with the local college here in Toronto, George Brown College, their interior design technology program. And what we did with the students is we created a project for their third year to do active stair design concepts in existing buildings. Recruited a number of corporate clients so that the students had actual buildings to work with. And here's some of the things that we discovered. The first thing is that, of course, we were doing this over the pandemic. And one of the things that we quickly realized, of course, in office buildings, for example, is that because of the pandemic, 95% of those offices were empty. They started thinking about how to adjust their planning, thinking about office reentry planning best practices. And one of the things that emerged for many of the people that we've been talking to in the commercial real estate sector is that they're concerned about vertical access. So there's going to be new elevator occupancy protocols. And so there's an opportunity to promote and encourage and reward the use of stairs, designating up and down stairwells to improve pedestrian flow. So these are some of the things that we discovered as we started launching into speaking with what I would call, potential clients for installing active stairs. So really it's about managing demand. This is my expertise actually, is in transportation demand management. Of course, we're talking about vertical access. The elevator, is a fascinating piece of technology that it's transformed, of course, cities and buildings and society. So we can't understate that. But essentially what we're trying to do with the work that we've got going here is to actually make more efficient use of the elevators by incorporating a different modality. And this, in this case, it's going to be active transportation. And we're going to be doing this, obviously, to promote some fun, fitness, and purpose as well as the in-office experience. And the home experiences also, but we've been working with a lot of commercial clients on office. So active stairs, what we've taken is the research that Peel has done and all of the work that's gone on before us, led by public health, led by the center in New York City. And we've distilled active stairs into sort of three main elements. And ultimately what we're doing is we're integrating active and user experience design into the building circulation systems. So especially at stairs and elevators, we're thinking about applying social marketing practices to the building program to encourage more people to take stairs more often. And what we've distilled this down into are three main design elements: wayfinding encouragement, stairwell animation, and stair climbing programs. I'm going to give a little bit more detail on each of those right now. So wayfinding and encouragement, someone wants to take the stairs. One of the biggest challenges for them is they don't know where they are. So pointing them in the right direction is key. Sara talked about language when you're talking about prompts and motivation. I can't stress that enough. You really have to be careful with language. You don't want to offend anybody. Humor is always important to inject into the equation, but thinking about steering people into the right direction, and there are a number of different treatments that can be used on that. Looking at the stairwell animation, and when I talk about animation, I'm enhancing. We're talking about enhancing this bleak, dreary environment that people avoid, and trying to make it inviting. And Sara talked a lot about the lighting and art. The students did some incredible work and design concepts that I'll share in a moment. And then the third part of this is the programs, linking it into the building program, whether it's residential or commercial type office. Again, remembering that this project was centered on existing buildings, interior stairs. And the idea that you're going to link into these campaigns, I think No Elevators Day and the practice of social marketing, these types of campaigns become very important to be able to encourage newcomers into the activity. The early adopters are there. Now we want other people to try it, and these types of campaigns are good. Causes: people climb stairs for diabetes, for heart and stroke in this country, for the United Way, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, I can't help but giving a bit of a shout out to participation in the country of Canada. 50 years they're celebrating this year. That's our equivalent, I guess, to the ISCA in Canada. And there's lots of work that can be done with that team as well. Just to close here on some of the design concepts that the students prepared, they explored the arts. They weren't limited in scope in terms of their project by budget. We couldn't consult with the building owners and tenants and as we would have liked to in a different sort of circumstance. But they picked up different cues from the surrounding community and tried to incorporate it into the interior design. Here, this is probably, for me, this is the most fantastic part of this, is that we're thinking about sort of incorporating sort of a biophilic design through an indirect experience of nature into the stairwell. And again, the students weren't bound by budget. And of course, we got some living walls as well. With that, I'm going to pause. I'm going to say thank you again to everyone that's come before us on this topic. And I'd love to see where this goes in the future. You can get in touch with us here at Attivo Design. All of the student design concepts are posted on our website. You can have a closer look at some of the materials they were thinking about using. Yeah, it's quite fascinating. Thanks again.
Wow. Really, really interesting and inspiring presentation, and a lot of great moments that we can borrow and do. But then again, because I represent the grassroots sports sector, and quite often we think we are not designers. So what can we do and how can we do it? So the next presentation is from Anna. She is both working in design company, and she is a placemaker. So Anna will be the link, and she is into sports all her life. Together with her, we're in the moving group of Placemaking Europe. We have a group where we try to facilitate this network between grassroots sports sector and the placemaker, and discover together what are the links and how can we work together. So Lorenzo, amazing. Guys, keep posting your questions to the chat box. We'll take questions at the end of the theory session. If you have any questions to Sara, Lorenzo, and now Anna, then we can take them. Anna.
Cheers. Thank you so much for the excellent introduction, Laska. And big thank you to Lorenzo and Sara for the great presentations beforehand. It's a hard act to follow. So my name is Anna. I come from Placemaking Europe and STIPO, and we are the leading network of placemakers in Europe. So I'll be going into how does placemaking and physical activity connect, and how can placemaking be a method to encourage physical activity? So this is a little bit of the outline. Tight on time, so we'll just get right into it. So what does it mean to be active in urban space? As I can imagine, many of us here today are from the grassroots sports sector, from policy, from placemaking. So just to be inclusive to everybody, I'll go over a quick introduction of some specific terms. So we see here on the far left this idea of the expert or experienced fitness, where you're really intentionally going for a sport, an organized group, very aspirational or competitive drive to it. In the center, there's an idea about more of a recreational physical activity, things that are a bit more fun and games, playful oriented, and have a really strong social dynamic. And not to say that the other categories don't have these things either, but just to give an understanding of a bit of the differences between how you can be active in physical space, how you can be physically active in public space. And the final column on the far right is more of an embedded idea of physical activity. So things that are in your daily practices, such as your commutes, taking the transit, walking your dog, biking to work. And then what is placemaking? So placemaking is a very multifaceted approach. It's a process incorporating planning, design, creation, and management that really brings in a deep participation, focusing on the local community and having this co-creation process to really bolster a sense of belonging. And really, placemaking cannot exist without that really deep democratic, co-creative nature to it. So here are some keywords on the far right. And how does the process work? Because that's a broad definition. It is iterative. It can go backwards and forwards with all these different steps where you really need to include all of them to have a really robust, successful placemaking project and process. Things like getting to know your community all the way to securing funding, having these tactical short-term moments, but also thinking about the long-term vision. I'll leave that there because, you know, we don't want to get over time. And how do you create a great place? So from STIPO, we understand the three areas of a great place as software, orgware, and hardware. Software being more of the social dimension, orgware being more of the coalitions, organization between groups, governance, and the hardware, of course, is that street furniture, hard physical design. And that's, we've heard from all three of these from Lorenzo and Sara about how you can incorporate them for users to use the stairs. On the right here, we have a diagram from Project for Public Spaces, who are really the founders of the placemaking term. And they highlight 4 different areas that are important for a great space, namely sociability, users and activities, comfort and image, and access and linkages. So how can we bring placemaking to promote physical activity? Traditionally, placemaking can maybe be thought of as these really short-term tactical interventions, like, you know, hanging umbrellas in the alleyway, having these stakeholder meetings, artistic installations, and then how can we make it that these generic ideas of placemaking connect to, you know, biking, taking the stairs, swimming in your local neighborhood waterfront. So let's get into that. And I'll give you guys a handful of really practical examples from some projects that we've been involved in or colleagues of ours have done. So there is the mobile living room taking place in Floridsdorf, Vienna. And this is underneath the Place City project funded by JPI Urban Europe. They decided that they really wanted to get to know the users and open up the street for them to feel like a sense of home and like it was a mobile living room on their streets. So from this, they did all these different games, people came out and played, they got active on the street. And it was this dual success of fusing the community together, finding the sense of belonging, and moving your bodies, being physically active. Jumping into the Netherlands, there is Club Rijnhuizen in Utrecht. And this is the Netherlands' first area collective where they bring together all these diverse stakeholders that were situated around a really vacant office park, really underused, really lacking a sense of co-vitality in life. And once the users became connected, they got to know their neighbors, they decided, hey, let's do something fun and let's organize a Rijnhuizen run. Here we go to Valencia, Spain at La Marina de Valencia. And this area on the right shows what it was more like before. It was a white elephant area development that then with some really intentional programming and understanding the locals' needs and bringing them in to understand their wishes. La Marina de Valencia with Placemaking Europe and STIPO, among other actors, were able to bring in a swimming pool, doing these paddleboard programming, and you really see people come out and use the place from neighborhoods just across the street that really weren't coming beforehand. Just to be tight on time, I'm gonna skip forward a little bit quickly on this one. This is a rooftop in Schalwijk in the Netherlands, where it was completely underused. And the residents really expressed the need to have a place where they could feel like a holiday or recreation site. And they had all these different workshops to understand how to do this. And they ended up deciding to do a bunch of different fitness programming on the space together with the residents. Oops. There we go. So I've spoken about some placemaking projects and how that promotes physical activity, but then thinking about it a little bit flipped, that you can specifically create physical activity tools that's your end goal. So here we have a tool of creating an urban walk where you have these different points to really feel a sense of place that are, key points in the neighborhood. Here we have developed by Nabolagshager in Oslo, an activity trail throughout your neighborhood or your park, where you go and you get to these specific points and you do activities, moving your body. And then here in Amsterdam, we've seen pop up during the pandemic, all of these boxing installations since the gyms are closed, you can go out on the street and you can use your urban public space to independently move your body. Recreation in public space is an act of self-care that asserts a sense of place and belonging. So bringing this all together, we see that placemaking for high quality public space increases the function and use of physical activity in public space. This oftentimes boosts social and economic value, social norms to use the space. You see other people using it more, so you want to use it more. You come across your familiar strangers of your neighbors, the local shop owners, the people who frequent the cafes around the corner. You start to recognize those familiar faces. And through this embodied movement in your environment, it has the ability to increase your sense of autonomy, that you have this free will to go out and do these things. It increases your sense of competence to feel like, I can do this. I know my surroundings. I know the spatial layout of my neighborhood. And it also increases, the embeddedness and belonging. So this is really the theory of the happiness and well-being, positive psychology theory, and that is a feedback loop. Once you start broadening and building these, they kind of come back and they keep giving you upward spirals for greater quality of life. So we really see placemaking and physical activity in a public space as this feedback loop that are really deeply intrinsically connected. And I'll leave it there. If you want to get in touch, please do so. Please reach out. I'll put my email in the chat box, and this is our website here. Thank you so very much, and looking forward to the brainstorm all together.
Thank you, Anna. While we have a few questions, and we'll take that before we go for the brainstorming. So we had one from Laura, and the question, if you haven't read it on the chat, I will just repeat, and then the answer of Sara, and maybe Sara, you can also vocally repeat your answer, but let me find the question. Do you have any information of how long the stair prompts affect the stair taking? Is it a short term or long term? This is from Laura, and Sara answered. Sara, should I answer or you will take it?
I got it. So thank you, Laska, and thank you for this question. So it definitely, there aren't any like longitudinal studies that really track over a long extended period of time, but there are studies that track over a year or so. And there has been evidence that the impact can last up to 9 months. And then with the expectation that as long as it's reinforced and it's a multifaceted intervention that doesn't die out, that those impacts will continue, especially depending on, there will be new users in the space. And there's also research indicating that the use of stairs not only is impacted in that space itself, but also in other spaces. So in the likelihood that someone will take the stairs in a different building.
Yeah. I'd also, Laska, I'd like to add to that, Sara. That was a sort of good response to that. Something I've learned over the last little while working with people in the gamification sort of industry, and I had an exchange related to the piano stairs, part of that fun theory. Many people have seen those piano stairs. Well, that's not gamification. That's a lot of fun, but it's not gamification because there's really no rules to the game. There's no feedback to the participants other than the music that are being played. And there's no reward really other than you're going up the stairs and having fun. So the thing that we learned around the prompts is that it's vital that the prompts be changed at minimum 2 months. And this comes out of that, that other sort of discipline. And there was a question on the chat too about, should urban designers and so on be taught about health. Yeah, that's probably a good reason, but I think they should collaborate a lot more. Maybe that might help. But anyway, changing the prompts on a frequency that so that people don't become numb to the message. And in our practice, we've been looking at changeable message boards, really thin style. We work with sign companies that have some really fantastic products, of course, if you have the budget and so on. Anyway, just wanted to add that part. To that
Thank
comment.
you, Lorenzo. Great answers. I'm wondering, should I ask the questions or should I listen just and note everything down? Good that we are recording. We have a question from Spain, from Andreo, to all presenters, and Lorenzo answered, but Anna, Sara, which level of priority prompting active spaces represents for decision makers from 0 to 10? Honestly, please.
So I would say it kind of depends on location. I think in some urban areas, it maybe is a higher priority because there are so many shared spaces within these areas, and there is sort of an outlook of a more communal use of space. So it's hard to put an overarching, and I would also say there are so many geographical differences. I would say it's not as high up on the list as I think it should be. And I think as most of us think it should be. And I know like during COVID, like during budget cuts and things like that, it can be one of the first things that is let go, which is really problematic because it's one of the things that's most important in times like this. So I am not going to give an answer 0 to 10 while I appreciate the question. But I do think there's like massive room to promote this as a higher priority among decision makers.
Super. Andreo, I see you're smiling, happy of the answer.
I would like to have something between 0 and 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laska, could I real quick?
Yes.
Real quick, just to add I did answer Andrew's question. I said it was 2. What I've discovered over the last year doing this work is that you know, our mission is to get people moving and active. We have to be satisfied that that's going to be a co-benefit of solving some other problem for someone. In the case of these active stairs that we've been working with, whether it's residential or in the commercial properties, existing buildings, it's a question, as I presented, about vertical access. And so they've got pain points there. They're grappling with how do we deal with, you know, our up and down system with the elevators if they're going to be reduced capacity. That, and then the other thing that we discovered in the case of working with the housing authority is that they have stairwells that have been overtaken by, you know, people that they don't want to be in the stairwells. And now we have to use a strategy around design to be able to reclaim those. So you're looking for, you know, something else, but I agree with Sara 100%. I mean, it's our passion. We want people to be active. We see that something like using the stairs is so easy. We have to be more aggressive, maybe, I don't know, or find those pain points.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Okay, just moving to the other question that we have, and Anna, I have a question to you too a bit later, but this is again from Laura, and it's a quick one. How many of you guys, and this is to the speakers, but also some of the participants are also urban planners, urban designers, and architects, are you thought about promoting physical activity, healthy lifestyle as part of your formal education studies? Is this something that's included in the curriculum?
No, it was not included explicitly in the curriculum. We did have habit formation in the curriculum for healthy behaviors, but it wasn't specific on physical activity. Something that we really went into in depth at that moment was smoking and the new vaporized, back then it was the new e-cigarettes, and trying to transition people from smoking to e-cigarettes, and, you know, is that a good idea? How do you do that? And really tapping into community-based social marketing, which really goes hand in hand with what Sara and Lorenzo mentioned about those signages at the stairs, making them really visible, so that convenience and reward mixed with seeing that your other peers are doing the same things, those were key points, but it wasn't focused necessarily on physical activity.
And one thing I'll add to that, just so I am not an urban planner, I come from a public health background, work with a lot of folks who came from an urban planning background and sought out the public health. So either did a joint degree in a master's of public health and a master's of urban planning, or like sought out specific classes that focused on the overlap. But on the public health side, I would say there's also a kind of lack of inclusion on how a lot of the public health measures can be implemented within the built environment. Again, you have to kind of seek it out within those spaces. So bringing the two together, I think, is really, really important.
Super, super great. Fantastic discussion. We are going towards our brainstorming, but before we go there, we heard Sara with the active design. We listened and also watched Lorenzo's presentation with some really good examples. And Anna, you presented the placemaking, but I'm asking you, can placemaking principles they transfer to stairs?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So this is a call to action for us to place make our stairs. So you can make a space a place, and it doesn't have to be a flat space. It can be a vertical stepped space. So if you think about those stairs that have the steps and then a plateau, the steps, the plateau, that could be an excellent moment for, you know, a pop-up cafe where you invite your neighbors to come sit and enjoy each other's company and have those local conversations, familiar strangers. But then you can also invite your community to come out for a workshop to co-create what are the ways that you would prefer to see your stairs being used. It really is as far as you want to take it. It's up to your imagination, and certainly the stairs can be embedded into the placemaking process.
Thank you, Anna. Great. With that one, we have one last question, which is rather extensive. I would suggest that guys, I will read it out for the speakers. We take this one last question. In the meantime, I would ask Corinne to share the mural link to the chat so everybody can get in. But to all speakers, do the speakers think that maybe more in the North American context, there needs to be a cultural reset on how we think about mobility in our cities? It's not one question, it's several. We continuously focus on expanding the urban boundary of cities. Ottawa just did this, and the city of Calgary is getting a lot of pushback from citizens on this, on their draft urban planning strategies. Rather, they're focusing on the densification, I don't know if I said it right, which would then make things easier to use active transport. And do you think that COVID-19 is influencing that at all either? Speakers?
Holy question. That was quite a question. I'm going to jump in here real quick with a kind of a soundbite answer. And one of the things that COVID-19 has done, obviously, is disrupted our economy. And not only that, but it's disrupted work. And in a North American context, there's a lot of connection between, you know, a private ownership of the automobile and how it's used, getting to work, and so on and so forth. So I think that might be sort of the saving grace in all of this, is that people are having a major rethink around private automobile ownership. They have a lot of money invested. It's a declining asset, so on and so forth. And if it's sitting idle for 95% of the times, they'll question that. As they do, all of the research points to transit, active transportation, everything going up as private automobile ownership goes down. So that should be the objective, is to reduce automobile ownership, but there needs to be supportive strategies. Thankfully, I'm involved in some of those. Anyway.
Super. Thank you. And also the speakers, please, you can also maybe write a written question as we are conscious of the time. Guys, please go to the mural link. Also, Maria, can you please share to the Facebook live event so people on Facebook can take part too? And I will give the word again to Anna, because now we are going into our co-thinking, co-creation part of the meeting. So we actually, at the end of this day, we have some tangible ideas. How can we do stairs placemaking, and how do we continue from this first meeting to work together towards more active environments? Anna?
Thanks, Laska. Yes, hoping that everybody has been able to open up that mural and have access to the little brainstorm board that we've created. So if you open it up, it has 3 questions, really tapping into activating these stairs, and then thinking also big picture about how can we connect across sectors. As Sara mentioned, it's really important that we bring these 2 together. And I'm sure we all agree on this point. So how could we work to better connect across sectors? And to tap into that question is, what are the links between designers and grassroots sports sector? So we ask you to take those Post-its in the middle there next to the second step. Grab them, put your ideas in, drag them down to the corresponding question that you'd like to add your ideas to. We'll give that about 5 minutes, if I'm correct, Laska. After 5 minutes, we'll then collectively read other people's Post-its, look at the other ideas, and soak it in, and look to vote with those little orange circles on the far right. What are the ideas that really speak to you? What are the ones that stand out the most? So I'll give the floor to everybody to put your ideas down on the board.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions,
give maybe not 5 minutes, Anna, sorry to interrupt, but maybe a minute or 2 if there are people who haven't worked with a minute or 2 additionally, if there are people who never worked with murals, so they get themselves around.
No problem.
So 7 minutes.
Yeah, let's give it to 7:11, 7:12.